Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I just about have to start out with family with the 1950 census. So I have a good news and a bad news about the 1950 census. One of the positive things is that it's in the plans that each group of friends or church, whatever, that wants to get together can make a group that shares together to encourage each other and keep track of statistics. And so I have started such a group for members and friends of the Provo South Freedom Family History Center. And I was still kind of learning how to make it work. And so I did not send in invitations to everybody. But if any of you would like an invitation, put it down in chat so that we can know that, and I can get you added. Okay, sorry, I was trying to take up my whole screen, and instead somehow I got disconnected because I'm still learning how to do things. And I'm still learning how to do things. Okay. And so my husband says, click on the other thing that says big square. Yes, I should have known that. So we have started such a group. So far, we have about 5 people. I think it will be fun for us to see between us all how many names, how many families, and how many headers we review. The bad news, the disappointing thing is that they haven't activated the statistics yet. So we can have a group, but I think they're busy solving other problems and they haven't gotten to statistics. So the only statistics we can see right now are our own and the whole church. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm really having troubles with this tonight. I don't know why. Okay, so I have to get back to here, and then I'm going to share my screen just in case you haven't seen this on your own yet. If you go to now I have to move the little black bar. I think I'm feeling like I am not making much sense today so far. But in just a minute, I'll pull this up. Okay, it's pulling up. If you go to the census and you look at the map of what is available, have you already all noticed that Nevada is finished? By finished, I mean, here's the map, that all of the reviewing is done. All of the name review, all of the family review, and all of the header review. And probably in the next day or two, they will have it so that we now receive people that have family in Nevada will start getting hints, or people who want to search Nevada will be able to search Nevada. So I'm kind of disappointed. It's been almost a month tomorrow, since the church started working on the census and making the name review possible for us. And we only have 1 state done. And there are 48 states and several territories and soldiers living abroad and other things. So I'm kind of disappointed on that. But yet at the same time, we're definitely making progress. I have been working on New Mexico, and New Mexico is 2% done on review families. Gee, at that rate, it seems like it's going to take a long time. So those are just some of my comments, and I hope that all of us will keep working on that. One of the fun things, though, is that I can see, if I go down below the map, I can see exactly what I have reviewed. So far, I have reviewed 224 families. And nearly all of those are from New Mexico. I've reviewed 189 families from New Mexico and 224 altogether. So I guess there's probably a whole lot more families than that in New Mexico. Anybody else had any comments about what they've done in the 1950 census since it opened?
So why is it so slow? Is it because not very many members of the church are doing this, or what?
I think it's that a lot of people are just doing name reviews so far. I also think that it's a new system, different than regular indexing, and some of us are finding it a little bit hard to do something different. At first, I found the family review went much slower than I think indexing goes. Although it just has to be done once, it doesn't have to be done 3 times. You know, there's not an A indexer, a B indexer, and a resolve the problem indexer. It just is one person reviewing the computer.
I did one header thing and I did 4, but it was really, really hard. I wanted to do the other one, the names reviewed.
Okay,
Names reviewed was lots easier.
to do the names.
Yeah.
Just about every state, well, of the first states that have were opened up, they just about have 100% of the name review. But I think the one that's going to take the longest is the family review. What was hard about the header, Alice? The header is when you connect the page to what enumeration district and what location it is.
Right. It was really hard to read and it was really, I guess I just wasn't real. I thought I'd taken the little tutorial, but I still didn't quite know what I was doing.
Can
Anyway.
we look at one? I started out by looking for my own families, and then I decided to not do my own families, just to do whatever family they gave me. So here we have the top of the page, and it asks for the state, the incorporated place. If I enlarge, well, that did not work. I tried to enlarge the page and I didn't succeed. It says that Valencia is the county. The enumeration district is 32-63, which is right there. Then it's blank until it gets over to the date, the enumerator signature, and who checked it, and the sheet number. That's all we have to check on that one. But you found it difficult?
Yeah, I guess part of it was I couldn't figure out how to make it bigger and I couldn't read it.
I think that how to make it bigger is one of the problems that they're having, because I had a couple that I was working on earlier in the week, and every single time I hit the next button, it reverted to the smallest possible size. And I had to use my mouse to make it big enough that I could read it. And now they've seemed to solve that problem. But like right here, I couldn't see how to make it bigger. It's very possible that how to make it bigger is hidden, and it is. How to make it bigger is hidden underneath my Zoom bar. So if I've got it now, I can see it and I can enlarge it. But it will only enlarge this much. Well, I didn't see anything that needed to be changed on. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I didn't look at it close enough. Anyway, I've already saved it. So now I've done one more header, even if I didn't pay enough attention to it. The numbers were right, but I'm not sure the enumerator signature was right. Well, I just want to encourage all of us to keep working on the census. I'm going to kind of keep working on New Mexico and seeing what progress I make on New Mexico. It took a long time to get to 2%. It was at 1% for a really long time. And of course, I'm not the only one doing it. A lot of people are really trying to stick to their own names of their own family. But I've done all of my family names that I could think of in New Mexico. So I'm ready to just do whatever names I see now in New Mexico. Okay, so let's go back. What comment?
I'm doing Colorado.
You're doing Colorado. Are you doing family names or are you doing,
I'm just doing whatever.
okay,
I started with Olbert and then I went to anything.
okay.
Don't ask me why I chose Olbert.
Well, I found Olbert in New Mexico. Very first time I tried Olbert, it pulled up my uncle Leonard Olbert. First time I tried Wilden in New Mexico, it pulled up my uncle Elmer Wilden. And then I kept doing Wilden and I got all kinds of other things, but never got any more that I recognized being related to. So let's talk a little bit more about memories. I'm going to see if I can pull my screen up to everybody. You know, I think I have this all figured out, and then I find out I didn't have it all figured out. Memories. I think that one of the things that makes memories relatable to us in Family Search is the fact that it turns people into living people. I think that I've already talked to you a little bit about my yarn story. Did I have you, if I tell that again, am I going to bore everybody?
No,
Nobody's saying it's okay, but no, not too many people are frowning. You're okay, Angel? Every year for the last few years, we have gone to cemeteries that have family members buried in them in the state of Utah. As I was growing up, I never did anything on Memorial Day because we lived places where we had no family buried. And it took me a while after getting back to Utah to get to think, oh, there are people in Utah that I could in fact go visit. And it took me a while to kind of go farther afield. But I eventually went far enough afield that I decided that there was a family buried in Parowan, Utah, and that I did not know about or had not paid attention to. And I don't think that I had even ever been in Parowan, Utah before. But so on Memorial Day, we went to Parowan, Utah. And I am trying to navigate to Niels Otto Mortensen by using my fan chart. And Niels Otto Mortensen, I had known, was a Danish ancestor who joined the church and came over. We always heard more as I was growing up, more about his daughter who was sent ahead to Zion and died in the snow as part of the Luton, as part of the Martin and Willie Handcart companies. And in fact, she's featured in the movie 17 Miracles. That's what we knew more about. I really knew next to nothing about Niels Otto Mortensen. So the one year we decided to go to his grave, I looked him all up on Find a Grave. I found out more information about him on Find a Grave than I had really known before.
Nancy, let me make a quick comment. I think he's also featured in this book I did, the fire of the thing that Gerald Lund just made, 18. It talks about the handcarts coming over, and Niels is one of the guys that I think is featured in that book and in that 18 disc story that I just finished.
Well, then I
yeah,
want to get more information about that from you so that I can see it, because
well, you
there
have,
just might be more
Yeah.
information about him for me.
yeah, because it's gotta be that, because one of the guys was, you just described him. His name was Niels or something like that, and he's from Denmark or someplace like that. And the whole story was, and he came across very close people died, and he got sent down to, or went to central Utah. So
Well, good.
if he was in those two handcart divisions, and if people haven't read that book or heard that story, that just, I mean, it just almost makes you cry when you realize the suffering that they did when they went through that terrible ordeal.
He wasn't in it,
Well,
but his child was.
yes, what Alice is saying is I suspect that unless it told enough related stories, Niels and his wife were waiting another year to be able to afford for the rest of the family to come. So they sent their daughter Bodil ahead with friends. And then she froze to death, and they did not know it until after the next year when they finally made it to Zion.
Okay.
And it was very hard on his wife to get to Zion and not be reunited with her daughter.
Yeah.
Alice and I are descended from another daughter who was sent the year before that, but who made it fine. I found that I had not paid attention before to the fact that Niels had been married 3 times, but when we got to the cemetery, I discovered that his other wives, although they're buried in the same cemetery, are not buried next to him. And that was interesting to me. So I kind of was trying to sort through all of that. And I don't want to take the whole night telling you all of the stories. But I will tell you this, we stopped at the local cafe and had lunch. And they had some framed pictures on the wall of the restaurant. And I have them here on my screen, but you really can't see them because of size. But there's articles about Rambouillet sheep, which were imported by Niels Otto Mortensen and his son to southern Utah, to near Parowan. And well, first they brought a different brand of sheep, and then later they bought Rambouillet sheep, and those sheep thrived in the harsh conditions near Parowan, and it became that the Rambouillet sheep raised the economy of southern Utah, that part of southern Utah, at the end of the 1800s to according to the newspaper articles, a multi-million-dollar export business. Now, money was just different in 120 years ago than it is now. So for that to have been a multi-million-dollar export business, that is remarkable. And he and his friends all started growing the Rambouillet sheep and selling their yarn. I guess I missed this, but if you go to the one of the state parks museums in Cedar City, they have a display of the sheep shearing pen that they used to shear the sheep when they took the wool and exported it. They exported both animals and wool. Well, because I'm a knitter, this made me want to know more about what Rambouillet yarn is like. If Rambouillet wool is turned into yarn, what is it like? And so then I had to find out about Rambouillet yarn. And in the process, I got this yarn that I knit this sweater out of, that's Rambouillet yarn. And I have another one that I'm working on now. And then I have another piece that I'm going to make a hat out of. But it really made Niels A. Mortensen come alive to me to find out about this enterprise of his. And I would not have known a lot of the things I found out about him had it not been for the fact that I could look in memories on Family Search. So we come on Family Search to his page and we go to memories, and the pictures of the newspaper articles and pictures that were on the wall at the cafe were not on here. I added these pictures myself. But a picture of his home, and then all of these different stories about him were really what helped me be able to figure him out. Now, I did not understand at first why he was married 3 times and why my ancestor wasn't buried next to him, but his last wife was buried next to him. And his middle wife that he was married to the longest, she's buried next to a man named David Lewis. And on her cemetery stone, it says, Mortensen, wife of David Lewis. And it took me some figuring out to do that. And so I studied it all out. I read the life histories that were on memories. Then I read the stories that were on each of his 3 wives page on memories. And then I wrote a little article, which I called Connecting the Dots, where I explained all about why he married each wife, when he married them, what their family situation was when he married them. It ended up that his second wife that he was married to the longest took care of his first wife as she was an invalid and then died. And so she took care of the wife. And at that time, she was pretty much a widow with 7 children of her own, all preschool age. And although Nils was older than her, that kind of, when they got married, that helped him with his 3 children and her with her 7 children. And then together they went on and had a bunch more, and were able to have a much healthier family after they were able to be married than he had, struggling without a wife, and that she had struggling without a husband. And so that helped me then understand who Nils Otto Mortensen was and what part he had played in Southern Utah. You know, when we know about an ancestor that worked hard and was successful, it helps us know that gives us courage that we can work hard and be successful. Research has shown that children who grow up knowing a little bit about their family story are more resilient and mentally healthy than those who don't know about their family history. And so knowing the stories and having access to the things that are on memories on Family Search is just very, very valuable. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how to put a memory on Family Search. Family Search memories are divided into stories, documents, pictures, and audios. And so in order to put on a picture, it has to be digital. Now, how do you get a digital picture? I inherited a scrapbook of my mother-in-law's that were all on a scrapbook page. What do I do to those scrapbook pages so that I can end up with a digital picture that I can then put on Family Search? Angel, why don't you tell us about what you do when you've got a picture?
Well, I bought a shop box, and so I just use my sorry, the smoke alarm is going off. My daughter's cooking with my son, so we'll just let the alarm go off. I take my iPhone and just snap a picture of it using the shop box that I have, and then upload it directly on the app from there.
Okay, so a shot box is a special gadget that allows you to put a picture in it, and then you can take pictures and she uses her phone. I think you could probably also use a camera.
Yeah, you could use yeah, I just because the phone has a nice camera.
But it does it in such a way that you don't have glare and
Yes.
misproportions and all of those things. If you looked at the pictures that I took in the restaurant of the papers, the framed newspaper articles, they're out of proportion and they're glary. And if I would have taken them with the shot box, or even if I would have asked the people if I could take them off the wall and put them down on the table and center my phone so that it was straight above it, I would have ended up with better pictures. Diane had the foresight to realize that a scanner in the Family History Center that could use a high-speed photo scanner would be a big benefit to all of us. And so we have that available now at the Family History Center. And John, you've done that more than anybody else I know of. Tell us a little bit about what you did with it.
Before he does, can I tell you one thing really fast?
Sure.
I went on the Friday to do some scanning for work, and besides our high-speed scanner, our regular printer, it's like I had a stack like this of a biography that I wanted to scan, and I could put it in there, put my flash drive in, and it scanned that whole thing really, really fast.
With 8.5 by 11.
Just so you're aware about that. Okay, go ahead, John. Tell the rest.
Plus, that gives her a copy of each page she scanned. So not only she gets it on the other one, but she gets a copy. Anyway, the high-speed scanner, you just stick it in. It's very easy to use. It gets complicated a little bit if the quality of your paper, your photos going in, but you can put it in and you can you can turn it on a slow speed to get 6 seconds for a photo, or 3 seconds if you turn it on high speed. It will give you a good picture or a picture of the original, and then it will enhance. It will automatically enhance the picture, and many times it can improve your color of your picture, and it will also take a picture of the back of whatever you're printing. So if you got a photo and have writing on the back that describes the front of the photo, it'll get both sides. So it's a pretty snazzy little thing. It's easier to use, but it's best if there's always somebody around that knows how to use it when you're using it, or anybody else.
And so if we knew somebody that needed to do it, we could suggest to them that they go on Friday night to the Family History Center when John's there and he could show them how.
Yeah. Or emergency situations or other kind of situations. I've got the keys. I can go down anytime I need, or you need, or somebody needs it.
Okay, so here's a question. I have photo albums that have the pictures in them, and I don't know how I could take those, and I've used double stick tape to put the pictures into the photo album. What is the best way for me to get those pictures scanned? I could not put them in the document feeder and feed them through like Diane probably did on the ones that she did on the regular printer. And I don't know how it would work with double stick tape, because they'd probably stick to each other.
Yeah, well, I've seen some pretty thick things go through, but you have to take the page out of the album, and sometimes that's not easy. But if you've got a lot of stuff, you can go to Lehigh to the Family History Search Center up there at Family Search Headquarters, and they have a book printer, so you can take a book and just open it up, and it will print the book for you page by page. But the other thing is, if you just have a small project, if you can take the pictures out of the album, or we have a little plastic sheet that if it's, sticky on the back and therefore won't go through the high-speed printer, you can put that little plastic sheet in it, or put it in the plastic sheet, and that will go through. So, so really thick things, thick paper, thick photos, if you put them in those plastic, in a little plastic sheet, it'll go through okay.
And are those plastic sheet things at the Family History Center?
Yeah, they're just sitting there in the instruction booklet. It's about
Oh.
12 inches long, 14 inches long. It's just a double sheeted little plastic thing that you just put the picture in and run through. It's a
Well,
lot.
I'm glad to know that,
It's a lot.
because I didn't think I could make a pile without them sticking to each other.
Yeah, well, it's a lot slower that way, but yeah, it's doable.
That might be faster than scanning them a page at a time and then cropping every picture.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Anytime you're down and want to do that, call me and I can come down and show you how.
okay, I have an album that's 1 inch or 3 thick for every year starting in about 1990. So
Okay.
that's a lot of pictures. So those are ways to take it. I thought that maybe there would be some non-technical people here that I could talk a little bit about how to get pictures out of your phone and onto your into your computer in your files of photos. I have not mastered Google Photos. Who here uses Google Photos to keep track of their photos?
I do, but I don't know how to get it out of my computer or out of my phone into the computer yet.
Okay. My daughter does it directly from her phone to Google Photos. I don't know how either. What I do is I take the picture that's in my phone, in my gallery on my phone, and I email it to myself.
Yeah.
And that works. With a previous phone, I could use a charging cable kind of a situation and hook one into my phone and the other end into my computer and transfer them that way. But there are ways to do it. So I need to learn more, I think, about Google Photos, but it hasn't been something that I wanted to take the time to figure out yet. Let me just show you though what you can do if you have got a picture in your photo files on in your computer. And if you click on a photo and you have Windows 10 or Windows 11, and you open up that photo, right up here at the top are a bunch of things that you can do. And if you choose the image icon that has a pencil in front of it, that's how you edit it. The pencil, usually means edit. And so here it gives us the option of cropping it, adjusting it for how much light. And so you can then, if I go to crop, it will give me the corners, so I could go down and crop which part of the picture I wanted. If I click adjustments for lights over here at the side of my screen, it's going to give me lots of different options, and I'm going to be able to change the whole character of the picture by adjusting the sliders. And we can do that just with Windows. If we want to actually repair old photos, a good program is Photoshop Elements. And at the Family History Center, we have Photoshop Elements on the computer that's close in the southeast corner. And that printer is also a color printer. And it does all kinds of things to get to correct old photos and repair old photos. And you can use the help feature to read articles on the internet on how to make it work. Or if ever people were to tell me, I wish we could have a more advanced class, we would ask Todd Roach, who used similar programs, that and similar programs a whole lot when he was the yearbook editor at Spanish Fork High School. So there are definitely ways that we can improve the picture that we took in order to put it on Family Search. The better that we put it on Family Search, the better it's going to be. For example, like that one picture that I showed you that's not so great. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back from Nils Otto Mortensen. And I've told about this in previous classes. I'm going to go back to my family tree, and I'm going to click on my grandpa. My grandpa had certain songs that he always sang to the kids every time he came to visit. And so I think I've told you about this before, but I'm not so sure that I actually pulled it up. So if I go to his memories, and I go down, and here's a quick song he used to always sing us. Can you hear it? Okay, so that was 22 seconds. Did you hear anything at all?
Yeah, I heard it.
My grandpa, when they recorded it, he was probably in his 80s. And because we heard that every time he came to town, we liked it. It's a song that we grew up with. And it just was really exciting for me to be able to hear that, hear my grandpa sing that to us. Now I'm going to go to the top of the page at Family Search. And over here, we have by the Family Search logo, we have the different icons. And if we choose the memories icon, most of the time we access these memories, we go directly to the page of the person. But we can also go to gallery. And the gallery is going to have every single thing that I have ever uploaded to Family Search. And it's pretty easy to add it by just clicking on the red plus sign. But there are a few other things that I had not ever really paid much attention to. One of them is that I have a gallery. And if I click on these different things, I see different things that the different icons show different things. But I was wanting to look at my gallery, and I'm not seeing my gallery here. Where is the gallery button?
You just pushed it.
It's because I'm looking at my gallery now. Okay. Now, I recently found out about another feature that I didn't know was even here. My uncle fought in the Battle of the Bulge. And if I want to check on this, I can just I can search tags. And sometimes when people have added a picture, they have tagged it. So I can tag battle, or I can see if somebody did Battle of the Bulge, if anybody ever tagged that. And here I come up with other people's experiences or pictures that they tagged as Battle of the Bulge. And so I can see, I could go to these people and find out more about other people that are in Family Search who served in the Battle of the Bulge. I only found out about this feature today, and I didn't think I didn't take time to look for too many more things. Everything else that I looked for, I couldn't find. But I did find Battle of the Bulge. And I think maybe we should put a story of our Uncle Don and tag it, his Battle of the Bulge story, and tag it Battle of the Bulge. I think that that's a neat thing to be able to do. Another thing I did search was my last name, Michael. And I was amazed at how many Michael things I pulled up. Now it's saying that it didn't work that time.
No topic selected.
Yes, so it did work. It did work when I okay, let's try text, and if it doesn't do it, then I can know that it takes longer than a few minutes to learn something. Okay, here are, so it pulled up Michael. Now, a lot of these are people that I don't know. And I hit the forward button without meaning to hit the forward button.
But they're
Now I lost them.
names instead of last names.
What are you suggesting, Alice?
They're first names instead of last names, or at least some of them that I saw.
Okay, and so I have to sort that through, don't I? Mikkel Campbell is not Michael. This is my great grandmother. Michael Moses, don't know who that is. So Michael Moses has written a bunch. Here is my grandmother. Here's Susanna Jane Michael. I don't know who she is, but I can almost guess that she's related to me. Here is a story about Hugh Michael. Michael Family Bible. I've never seen this before. That's very interesting. I am recognizing several of these names. So if these came from leaves in somebody's family Bible, I wouldn't have found these if I would not have searched for that. So I'm going to have to make a note that I need to go back through these, and maybe there will even be pictures of this family Bible. But I did not know that anybody in the family kept a family Bible. David Hugh Michael, that is probably the brother of Hugh, based, or else a cousin, probably a cousin, based on the dates. And Minerva Michael, I certainly remember the name, but I'm not sure exactly how she fits in. But you see, I wouldn't have ever found that if I wouldn't have known about that. I could look on the find feature. So that find feature is something we can put in our brains to remember another time. Now, have you ever wanted to put on a picture, but you thought maybe you shouldn't put on the picture? For example, my mother's 10 brothers and sisters, one still living. So should I not put in the picture of the 10 brothers and sisters because Uncle Paul's still living? I can click on this, and where it says public, if I'm the one that put in the picture, I can click on that and make it private. And then until such time as I make it private or public again, nobody's going to see it. So I can protect Uncle Paul's information until he dies by using this public and private button. So that's an interesting thing to know about. I think that there's often are documents that we find that we do not have a website that document is on. So to scan that document and put it under the document section would be a good way to make that document available to other people.
Nancy,
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt. Well, I guess I do. But have you ever told people about the Everett Journal?
In my classes, I don't think I have. The Everett Journal has been Alice's big project. So Alice, tell us about it, because you've done a lot of memories from that.
Well, I have, and it is a neat, I'm so glad we did it. Back in, I want to say 79 or 80. My sister Ruth Ann decided to have an Everett Journal. And twice a year, everybody would write to the journal. My sister would take all of the stories and type them up. And then we would each get a little, I don't know, the pages from that journal in January. And let's see, we got one in Christmas time and we got one, I can't remember, sometime in the summer.
Family reunion, June, probably.
Why? Anyway, we started out with everybody in my family, all my aunts and uncles, and my cousins that were old enough wrote a story about my grandmother. And then the next edition was about my grandfather. And then the next one after that was my Uncle Estill. And then down, by age through all of my aunts and uncles. So I have a story from each of my aunts and uncles about my grandmother who died right about the time I was born. So
I think she died in 1951.
yeah, well, I was a couple of years old, but I don't remember. Anyway, it's allowed us to have all these wonderful memories from, my aunts and uncles who are all dead now. And then after we did all the aunts and uncles, we did all the cousins. And of course, my cousins are, dying now.
3 of them have died in the last 6 months.
So it's really nice to have those memories and from unique perspectives. So, so then, we had this hard copy of all of these, and then we, for the last couple of years, I've been putting all of those stories into memories. So that's the picture of that barn came from one of them too. Well, anyway, so anyway, it's been really a nice way. And I think I wish we had done that with the Wildens. I don't know if it would have worked, but all of my Everett cousins, nobody in the family was a member of the church, but everybody pretty much did it. And we have just some really wonderful memories from them about what it was like in their homestead, growing up at the homestead.
And I think that a lot of us have some kind of stories that have been passed down in old book of remembrances or otherwise, that if they haven't been added yet to Family Search, really should be. But in this particular story, my Aunt Merle is telling about my dad's birth. At least that's what she wrote in the beginning of this story about my dad. And it was wonderful. It was just, our sister Ruth Ann has extreme attention to detail and extreme ability to keep working and follow through with things. And so I think altogether there's 30 editions of the Everett Journal, and all of them have stories of some kind in them. And how wonderful all of these are. We cherish them. But for Alice to scan them, and did you retype them or did you do character recognition?
I retyped them because I just felt like they looked better on the memories thing.
Okay. And so that was a lot of retyping that she did and
I probably
and to
just
put them
didn't
on.
know
That
the
she spent,
technology to do it better.
she just did, you know, untold hours this last year getting these ready. And how she has enriched my grandchildren and our cousins' grandchildren when they have these available to them. That's just immense.
Anyway, I just think that's a neat thing to do for families. I'm really glad we did them.
So she is glad that Ruth Ann spearheaded the project, that everybody responded to Ruth Ann's nagging until we finally responded, that Ruth Ann got them actually printed up with the appropriate pictures inserted. She spent a lot of work getting the appropriate pictures, and then that Alice has made them available on Family Search.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else specific about memories. Does anybody have any comments? Okay, then I would like Ed and Elsie to give us a brief report. How was your last 2 weeks been?
Fantastic. Are we unmuted?
Yeah.
We
I
got
can hear
to
you.
meet- We got to meet 2 great grandchildren that we'd never seen before. A 20-month-old girl and her 5-year-old sister, and reconnect with an 8-year-old great grandchild that we hadn't seen since she was about 4 years old. And my daughter was sitting with me in an LDS chapel. She's been inactive since age 16, but they took us to an LDS church nearby last Sunday. And she started crying while we were singing the opening hymn. And I thought she was having an allergy attack. She said later, "No, it's been a long time since I've heard you sing the hymns. I used to love sitting beside you in church and listen to you sing. And while you're singing today, I'm thinking, will I ever get to hear you sing again?" And I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, boy, are you lucky, because a lot of Sundays, all I can do is croak. So we had some special memories through those 2 weeks. So
Wonderful.
got to see some sights in Nashville, and they live out in the country north of Nashville, and it's really a pretty area.
Have you made any notes to keep, any journal keeping from this trip?
Not yet. I suppose I ought to do that, but it sure wasn't possible this week. By the time we got back to my sons from the Salt Lake Airport, we just sort of crashed this week.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law came from Alaska and she crashed after she got here.
Yeah. Well, we're glad it waited until we got back home.
Well, but I'm glad you went.
We are too. We really thought we were too old to make such a trip, but it worked out.
Good, good. I think you did a lot of pre-planning that helped it work out.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Nancy, I wanted to say something about the airport in Salt Lake. You're trying to explain to us how large it was and advised us that we should have a wheelchair access. And when we left the Salt Lake Airport, I didn't understand what you're trying to tell us, because it was so quick and easy, and they assigned us to the closest gate anyway from but when we came back this last Monday, my goodness,
We
we ended up on the gate that is farthest away from the terminal, And I had chosen I kept Elsie's wheelchair assignment so she could use that. But I canceled mine because I was walking all right. And especially I walk a lot better when I'm pushing her around in the wheelchair in Nashville. But the furthest terminal or the furthest gate from the terminal, the guy that was pushing Elsie in the wheelchair said, well, you've already walked 2 miles and you got another half mile to go to the baggage area. So I had to walk 2.5 miles after we got off the airplane just to get our baggage. So I appreciate your comments on that. And says she was so right.
I won't fly out of the Salt Lake Airport again without a wheelchair escort. And maybe when they finish remodeling, it'll be a little bit closer, but oh, it's horrible, isn't it? 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
From the
about,
time you left the plane.
well, at about the 2 mile point, I yelled at Ed to slow down. So my wheelchair pusher slowed down too. So he
And I
could
was-
keep up.
And I was on the moving sidewalk most of the time.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't have moving sidewalk at all or elevators or anything when we flew out. And I was carrying, well, and then I kept making Charles carry it. We kept trading my computer bag that had both of our computers in it. And the combination was just pretty heavy to have
Yes.
to carry. I said, I didn't know I was this old, but I am. I'm wheelchairing it next time.
Well, I would at least. See, you don't know what gate you're going to go on until after you buy your tickets.
And then they're
Yeah.
likely to change it because they did once.
No, they changed our outgoing thing twice.
Yeah.
Ah,
We got to the closest gate going out. That was no problem at all.
well, good. And I'm glad you had a good trip.
Nancy,
Uh-huh.
I also was going to talk about memories. I used my shot box and took pictures of artifacts that belonged to my grandparents or their grandparents. And then I recorded my mother or mother-in-law. So they talked about the artifact and it's uploaded to Family Search. So not only is the artifact preserved on Family Search, that's as an heirloom for the family, but then it also has the voice of my mom, and she's not going to be here, in the next 10 years. And so I think that's another way is if you record your voice or you record information about an artifact. And you can do that on the memory app on your phone, or you can even do it, pull up a picture on the Family Search and then just hit record. And you can record a memory of that photo or the document on Family Search. And I think it's really important to do, especially, I kept the recording of my little brother, the last message he left on my phone before he died of cancer. And when I miss him, I go back to Family Search and the church has preserved it and I can hear his voice. So
Yes.
I would recommend that everybody, even if you don't like your voice, record something because other people care about you.
Great addition. I'm really glad you mentioned that. And so here's a picture that I took. I didn't use a shot box, but I took a picture of my mother's special rose plate. And it looks like, I was just going to show you that so I could show you where the button is so that you can record. And it looks like, lo and behold, I have recorded something. And it's 59 seconds. Let's see if.
One summer evening while we were living in Midland, Texas, a salesman came to the door. He showed my mother a rose plate and asked if she had ever seen it before. And she said, yes, that is my mother's rose plate. He said, yes, and I am your uncle, Walter Sherman Michael, your mother's brother. My grandmother had 6 of these plates. What happened to the other 5, I don't know. But this one made its way home to my mother, which she always cherished. Her mother had this set of 6 plates, which she used for special occasions before she died in 1921.
My mother was still a preschooler when her mother died. And I don't know if any of you looked at Alice's face while I was playing this. That is an example of how valuable these things can be to us. So Angel, thank you for remembering to add that to the things that I said.
And it's also important because all of us have children or grandchildren, and they break things. And maybe point, my grandmother had Disney princess Christmas ornaments from like 1950s, and I broke one of the collections when I was little. I mean, they're gone, but I remember her telling me, honey, it's just a Christmas ornament. You're much more important than this. So I wish I had a picture of that to end the story, to say, hey, my grandma Brimhall thought I was more important than her antique Christmas ornament. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And how wonderful, I have a lot of stuff. I think that having pictures of my stuff with a little bit of a memory about them is probably more important than having them in a box that my kids have to decide someday, what do we do with this box of stuff? And that certainly is a way to do it. My one granddaughter said, I'm going to come over someday and bring my phone, and we're going to take pictures of all of your things in your house that have memories to you, and we're going to write down what the memory is so that we have a record of that. And then she moved and we never got it done. And it ought to happen. It would have been easier if Carolyn would have come over and said, okay, now's the time. But it is something that I ought to do for the things like the rose plate and other things that are special to me. Anybody else have any more comments?
Can you put video?
Thanks for listening to me. I think all of you that have been here have been to the same class on memories before. The reason I wanted to do this was because Mother's Day is coming up, and I was going to suggest that we each put something about our mothers, a memory of our mothers on their family search page. So I'll still give you that challenge. Elsie, would you please say our closing prayer?